Guys, here's our next book about space. And this particular one is for kids who really love space and first grade teachers. Discover the vast and endless thing that we call space. Marvel at extreme planets, the wonder of stars, the power of rockets, and blast off on a mission to Mars. The universe is mind-bogglingly big. It's everything that exists, every speck of dust, rock, planet, solar system, and galaxy. It is difficult to imagine just how big the universe is. That's because we think it's infinite or never-ending, containing an unimaginable number of stars. This is a nebula, right here, where new stars and galaxies are made. This huge cosmic pillar is made of hydrogen and dust. The Milky Way is just one of the billions of galaxies that exist in the known universe, and it is also home to our solar system. It is called a spiral galaxy. Can you tell why? Due to its shape, and contains 200 to 400 billion stars, just like our sun, and some 50 billion planets. Galaxies come in all shapes and sizes. This one is a spiral. A black hole is thought to exist in the center of our galaxy, and Earth is that little speck right there. The solar system is where we call home. The sun is the middle of our solar system and everything else orbits around it. There are a total of 8 planets, some with their own moons, as well as 5 dwarf planets, including Pluto. The Earth is the third planet closest to the sun, with Neptune being the furthest. Sun, Mercury, the closest to the sun. Venus, the hottest planet. Earth, perfect conditions for life. Asteroid belt. And the outer planets. Jupiter, the biggest planet. Saturn, with rings of dust and ice. Uranus, which has 27 moons. And Neptune. Winds blow at 1,200 miles per hour on Neptune. Until very recently, there were 9 planets in our solar system. But in 2006, scientists took away Pluto's planet status. It is now a minor planet or dwarf planet. Poor Pluto. Mercury. It is smaller than some moons in the solar system. Mercury is the planet closest to the sun. It looks very similar to the surface of our moon. It is covered in craters made when huge asteroids crash into the surface. Mercury is so dense, it has a large core made of pure molten iron. Mercury has one of the largest impact craters in the solar system. Here are some key facts. It is first from the sun, the smallest, it has no moons, it is a terrestrial planet, or made of land. Venus. It was once thought that Venus was similar to Earth, and that life might even exist there. But we were very wrong. In fact, it is the most unfriendly planet in the solar system. Its surface temperature is so hot it could melt lead. Its air is mainly composed of carbon dioxide, and there are layers of poisonous sulfuric acid clouds in its atmosphere. It is sometimes called Earth's sister planet. It is the brightest planet in our skies. Its diameter is only 400 miles less than that of Earth's. And some key facts. Second from the sun, nearly the same size of Earth, no moons, and again a terrestrial planet. Earth, the only known planet in our solar system with life. We call Earth the blue planet because of the oceans that cover most of the surface. The Earth takes 24 hours to rotate on its axis, giving us day and night, and 365 days to orbit the sun, giving us changes in season. The ozone layer protects us from the sun's harmful rays. The moon orbits the Earth, and oceans cover 70% of the Earth's surface. Here are some key facts. Third from the sun, 5th largest, 1 moon, and a terrestrial planet. Mars is known as the red planet. It is the planet that is most like Earth, although it is further from the sun. It is very cold. Scientists have discovered ice beneath its surface. This may mean that life once existed there. One day we hope humans will set foot on Mars. There are huge craters, valleys, and mountains that cover its surface. Mars' red shade comes from iron in the planet's surface. Across the middle is an 1,864-mile-long Grand Canyon of Mars. Key facts: it is fourth from the Sun, it is half Earth size, it has 2 moons, and it is a terrestrial planet. On November 13, 1971, Mariner 9 became the first space probe to maintain orbit around another planet, and this planet was Mars. Exciting pictures and data were beamed down back to Earth. Jupiter. It's the biggest planet in our solar system. It is so big that it takes 2.5 times the size of all the other planets combined to fill it. It is mainly made from gas. It is known as one of the 4 gas giants, along with Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Its 4 largest moons are Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Jupiter is a very stormy planet, with winds of more than 400 miles per hour. The planet is covered in thick red, brown, and yellow and white clouds. The Great Red Spot is a huge storm 3 times the size of Earth. The order from the Sun, 5th. It is the size of 1,300 Earths. It has 64 moons, and it is a gas giant. Saturn is the 2nd largest planet in the solar system. It has 9 beautiful rings that can be seen with a telescope. Its rings are made up of ice, rock, and dust. Saturn spins very fast on its axis. A day on Saturn only lasts 10 hours, whereas a day on Earth lasts 24. Some ring particles are dust size, while some are as big as mountains. They are made from comets, asteroids, or shattered moons. The order from the Sun, 6th. It takes 764 Earths to fill Saturn. It has 62 moons, and it is a gas giant. Uranus. It's so far away that if you were traveling there from the Sun and you made it to Saturn, you'd only be halfway to Uranus. It is a very cold place with temperatures reaching as low as negative 371 degrees Fahrenheit above its cloud layer. Little is known about the distant blue planet, and what lies beneath the clouds remains a mystery. Uranus is the only planet that rotates on its side. The bright blue color comes from methane gas. It is 7th from the Sun. It would take 60 Earths to fill Uranus. It has 27 moons, and it is a gas giant. This is Titania, its biggest moon. It is 980 miles across. Neptune is the furthest planet from the Sun. Neptune is a cold, icy giant. It is very bright blue due to methane gas, with a water layer that leads down to a solid core the size of Earth. It takes 165 years to orbit the Sun. That's a year. That means that winter lasts 40 years on Neptune. Voyager 2 is the first and only spacecraft to pass this distant planet. The Great Dark Spot is a storm the size of planet Earth. Its orbit of the Sun takes so long that it has only been around the Sun once since it was discovered in 1846. It is 8th from the Sun. It would take 57 Earths to fill it. It has 13 moons, and it is a gas giant. Let's talk about stars. People who watch the stars are called astronomers. They use telescopes to study the sky and look at planets, stars, and galaxies, and cosmic events like supernovas. People have been looking for the stars for thousands of years. It is impossible to imagine just how many stars there are in the universe. Here are some constellations. This is the Big Dipper constellation. Most important space discoveries have been made by people using telescopes. This is the North Star, the brightest in the sky. Here are some key facts. Our closest star is the Sun. There are too many to say. The Milky Way galaxy alone has 200 to 400 million stars. The color, it can range anywhere from red to white to blue. Color indicates heat, with red being the coolest. The Sun is the star at the center of our solar system that gives us heat and light for life on Earth. It is a giant burning ball of hydrogen and helium gas with a surface temperature of 9,932 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot. The Sun is so big that its diameter is 109 times that of Earth. The red areas of the Sun are actually the coolest. Sudden, huge explosions of energy are called solar flares. The energy from the sun is called the solar wind, and around the sun there is a haze called the corona. The core temperature is around 75,000 times hotter than an oven. It would take 330,000 Earths to fill the sun. It is approximately 4.5 billion years old, and its gravity is 28 times that of Earth. What do you know about space rocks? Space is home to rocks of all shapes and sizes. There are icy, shimmering comets orbiting the sun, huge, irregularly shaped asteroids the size of planets, and meteors that enter the Earth's atmosphere as shooting stars. This is a meteor crater in Arizona, the United States. This crater is 558 feet deep. This meteorite that made this huge crater broke off from a huge asteroid in space. The meteorite crashed on Earth 50,000 years ago. Famous space rocks. Asteroid Ida is one of the biggest known asteroids. It is so big that it has its own moon. Halley's Comet appears every 75 years. It's the only comet you're likely to see in your lifetime. Man-made satellites are really useful. We use them to monitor space and our planet orbiting the Earth. They send data and signals back down to satellite dishes. Since the first satellite, Sputnik 1, was launched in 1957 by Russia, there are now thousands of satellites orbiting the Earth. We use them for TV, mobile devices, weather reports, and navigation. This satellite dish is located on Earth and communicates with satellites in space. Incoming signals are received by this curved dish. What do you know about the moon? It's a dry, dusty place with no air. It is covered in hollows called craters made by huge meteoroids crashing into its surface, which still happens today. Ocean tides on Earth are caused by the moon's gravitational force. The moon is the only place in space where humans have landed. The moon takes 27 days, 7 hours, and 43 minutes, 11.6 seconds to orbit the Earth. The moon's surface is covered in impact craters, just like planet Mercury. The lunar module carried a crew of 2 from lunar orbit to the moon's surface and back. The moon is an incredible 4.5 billion years old. In 1969, Neil Armstrong, an American astronaut, became the first man to walk on the moon. His footprints from 1969 can still be seen on the moon's surface today because there's no wind to blow it away. Space stations are manned satellites that travel in a low orbit around Earth. They allow astronauts to live and work in space for long periods of time, and other spacecraft can dock onto them. The longest serving and biggest space station ever is the International Space Station, often called the ISS. Solar arrays help power the ISS. It is the same length as a soccer field or pitch. On board, there is a general living space, a gym, and laboratories. It was launched in 1998 and has orbited the Earth 55,000 times since being sent up. Exploring Mars. Mars rovers. In 2003, 2 NASA rovers landed on the surface of Mars. They discovered ice underneath the surface and recently analyzed soil that could support life. Gullies discovered on the surface of Mars could have been formed by water. In recent years, many rockets have launched orbiters, landers, and rovers into space to study and explore Mars. 2 rovers have landed on Mars and roamed its surface. They have taken over 100,000 photographs, as well as collected lots of data about Martian rocks. Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has taken astonishing pictures of its surface. Let's talk about rockets. Every space mission begins at mission control, where a team of scientists and engineers prepare to launch a rocket into space. Huge rockets are ignited on the launch pad. The rockets gain enough power to take off, rise up, and enter space, climbing over 1,000 feet in just a few seconds. Mission control. Rocket missions are controlled from Earth. At mission control, teams of scientists, engineers, and flight controllers track the rocket's progress from the point of liftoff. This Falcon rocket is as heavy as 12,000 bags of sugar. This rocket is 70 feet tall. The biggest rocket ever was Saturn V at over 300 feet. Rockets are so powerful they shoot up high into the atmosphere. How about the astronauts? They are brave men and women who venture into space. They are sent on special missions. Some astronauts have landed on the moon, while others are sent to work on space stations orbiting the Earth. The first in flight was a man named Yuri Gagarin. First on the moon was Neil Armstrong. The longest day in space was Valery Polyakov at 438 days. The fastest speed traveled was the Apollo 10 astronauts at 36,440 feet per second. Most missions was Franklin Cheng Diaz at 7 flights. This astronaut is out on a spacewalk. He's wearing a spacesuit, has a protective helmet, and oxygen supply tank. The Space Shuttle was one of the world's first reusable spacecraft that carried large satellites to and from orbit around the Earth. It zoomed into space like a rocket, sat in Earth's orbit like a spacecraft, and then landed back on Earth like an airplane, transporting crew and equipment up to the space stations such as the ISS. This is the orbiter which houses the crew. Burning fuel creates huge clouds of smoke. NASA launched its final space shuttle in 2011. The external tank holds the fuel for the main engines. Space tourism? How about a trip into space for your next vacation? It's very possible with companies like Virgin Galactic developing new spacecraft to do so. Scientists hope that one day we might be able to use the same spacecraft to travel across the world in just 3 hours. Spaceports. New Mexico will be home to the world's first commercial spaceport. Passengers will experience zero gravity. Tickets for trips into space could cost $200,000. Here is a timeline of what we've learned about space. At the end of our book, we have a glossary to help us understand keywords. And that's it. My question for you, first grade, will you be going into space?